If you clicked on this video, you are a people pleaser and you've accepted that you're a people pleaser, but you are ready to stop doing that. We're going to go through the 5 steps for how you can stop being a people pleaser and start putting your own needs first. Let's get into it. So somewhere you learned in order to survive, you needed to do what other people expected of you. The first thing you need to do is recognize your triggers. What is it that you're afraid of by telling someone no? Then once you identify what those fears are, think of the worst case. You think of what could happen if those fears came to life. So say you're afraid of abandonment. Someone asks you to do something, you say no, and they stop talking to you. So now you felt abandoned by this person. What is the worst thing that could happen? You've been abandoned by this person who only saw value in you for what you could do for them. What is the worst case scenario with you being abandoned by someone like that? You might feel sad, but that's all I can think of. Best case scenario is that now you are a little bit more free and you don't have to try so hard not to people please because you have just gotten rid of someone who contributes to your people pleasing tendencies. The goal is to put your needs first. Having someone like that in your life directly conflicts with your ability to do that. So it's good that you've gotten them out the way. So I want you to think about what your triggers are, what your fears are, and think about the reality of if those fears came true and what that actually means. It actually means something more positive than negative. Prepare and practice. Think about certain scenarios in which you have wanted to say no in the past but didn't, and brainstorm how you would handle it. One of the things that keeps people pleasers people pleasing is that they don't like conflict. They want to avoid conflict, so they just say yes to whatever to avoid conflict. But the thing that's important to realize is that saying no doesn't always have to result in conflict. Test out how you would tell someone no, what you would say to them. Come up even with like a little script. Because also part of what keeps people pleasers people pleasing is the anxiety of not knowing what to say. If you have a little library of scripts and responses in your head that you can rely on, that's going to make you feel a lot less anxious. It's going to make you feel more comfortable saying no or being honest. Maybe your biggest fear is hurting someone's feelings. So in your script, you say, I can't do this because I'm busy. And they say, well, I'm really hurt by that because I was depending on you. Process that and then come up with a response. This exercise is to remove some of the anxiety around what would happen if this were a real life situation. So you're less likely to freeze up when it does happen. And then what's the worst case scenario there? You feel anxious, you feel sad, and you get over it and you move on. And you're not going to feel anxious and sad forever. So it is okay. If you're asking someone for a favor and they're a reasonable person and you say, I can't because I'm busy or I'm stressed or I'm overwhelmed, if they're a reasonable person, they're going to say no problem and they're not going to shame you or make you feel bad because you can't help them. And again, if they are doing that, then they are someone who needs to disappear from your life. Come up with different little versions of how you want to express yourself and saying no. Think about what the possible response might be. And then think about worst case scenario, but also think about the best case scenario so that you are prepared either way if the situation were to happen in real life. And the more you do it, the more evidence that you have for, hey, I can not people please and still be okay and still keep these relationships and still not be rejected and not have people be rude to me. The more evidence you have, the more confident you're going to be in doing it. Realize that it's okay to take space. If someone asks you something, don't feel pressured to respond right away. And that was my tactic. I am not someone who likes to be put on the spot. I am not someone who does the best at being put on the spot. So what I say now is, let me take a second and get back to you. Let me check my schedule or let me see what I've got going on and then let me let you know. Because then I have a moment to process. Do I want to do this? Am I able to do this? Because as we know, people pleasers, our default is yes. Our default is yes. We don't even give ourselves a chance to consider whether we want to do it, whether we can do it, whether it's preventing us from doing something else that we need to do. We don't even consider any of that. We just default to yes. So by giving yourself the permission to take space, you are really allowing yourself to think about whether you can do it, whether it's feasible, or whether you want to. So let yourself take space, and it's okay to tell someone, hey, let me get back to you. Not everybody needs to have not everything is urgent. People don't need an immediate answer. We're not the president, unless the president literally is watching this. You don't need to give everything an immediate answer. They will be okay. They will survive. Come up with a clear vision for your life. That'll help you to decide what to say yes to, what to say no to. I found myself agreeing to plans with people that I didn't even like. If you're a people pleaser, you have done or you are doing the same thing. You're doing things to keep people around who you may not even truly enjoy. So think about what kind of friends, what kind of people you want in your life. That'll allow you to not be so afraid to lose them. Because if you think not people pleasing anymore is going to result in you losing them, if you know that this person is not the kind of person you want in your life anyway, you're going to be so much more okay with the possibility of losing them and therefore saying no to them. So think about what you want your life to look like and what kinds of people you want in it. That'll also help you to decide too if you truly have time to do what it is that someone's asking you. Say you want to transform your body in 6 months. So you got to eat right, you got to do some meal planning, you got to go to the gym. So now you don't have time to be taking time away from that to do all these little tasks and helping people out just for the sake of helping people out, just for the sake of people pleasing. You don't have time for that. So now that's going to give you even more of a purpose to say no to things because you're going to think, well, I got to go to the gym. I can't go pick you up from work for the fourth time this week because I got to prep my meals for the week. It's going to be easier to just justify in your head, like, I'm going to say no because I got things to do. So come up with like a vision, come up with like what you want your life to look like, the people in it, the things you want to be doing, the goals you want to reach. And it's just going to make it easier to say no to things. Reframe your worth and your ability to be who you are without it being a problem or without it being a threat to your survival. Again, you learned something completely different as a child. As of right now, though, you have permission to try new things, to be new things, to go after new things. You are empowered to go do those things. You should go do those things because you're chasing a life that you want. So give yourself permission to do those things and reaffirm yourself and tell yourself that you are worthy just because you are here existing, just because you have things that are worthwhile. Who you are is worthwhile. The more you tell yourself that, the more you will feel like your worth is not dependent on what you can do for someone. One of the core components of overcoming people pleasing is self talk and telling yourself that you are worthy separate from what you can do for people. So you have to tell yourself daily that you are worthy. So you got to reaffirm yourself and restructure your inner voice so that it is telling you and you are believing that you are worthy regardless of anything else. Those are the 5 things that you need to do to stop being a people pleaser. It's not going to happen overnight, and that is okay. Give yourself some grace, some space, and some time, and celebrate the small wins. I want you to challenge yourself to say no to one thing that you have previously said yes to in the past that you didn't want to. So just try it. Come up with your script, play out some possible scenarios, and then try it and see how it feels. That is your one challenge or your one piece of homework for this week. You do not have to people please to survive anymore. Your habits can change. You got this. Talk soon.